My secret, just do something that ain't nobody ever done before, but make it sound like something that's always been there forever.
Hello, welcome to This Filipino American Life, a podcast that explores the nuanced experiences of Filipinos in the United States at iba pa. I am Joe Bernardo, and I'm joined by my fellow co-hosts.
Elaine Delalis.
Hey, it's Ryan.
Ryan Carpio.
Oh, and Mike.
Producer Mike.
Producer Mike.
Pew, 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 pew.
Pew, pew, pew. Happy New Year, guys.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. That was fun. I had a lot of fun.
Oh my gosh. The fireworks.
The fireworks.
The queso de bola.
The food.
The Bulla virus.
All the cleaning that happened.
The countdown. Like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That was good.
Happy New Year.
Dude, the Australian fireworks are pretty dope.
Australian fireworks?
Yeah, you know how
I didn't
you
get to
watch
watch it.
Oh, you didn't.
Oh.
This is awesome.
I'm like, what?
Well, Happy New Year, guys. Another year. 2017.
I know.
T-Foul 2017.
This is the first episode of 2017.
I know. Only 20 more days till...
Till silence.
Yeah.
Till
Doomsday.
February.
Oh, yeah. We're not really recording this on July 1st or January 1st.
July 1st. Wow.
We're going a little crazy.
All right.
This is going to be great.
But Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, guys.
During New Year's, do you guys put grapes?
13 grapes.
13 grapes?
13.
grapes. I do
13?
13.
Wait, do you eat 13 grapes
I
before,
ate
right?
13 grapes beforehand, and I put 13.
What?
So I do 13. I guess it's different because it's like 12 plus 1.
Oh, like one for the road.
Yeah.
Baker's dozen.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. We have round things like grapes. My sister likes to put oranges out and all
Yeah.
that stuff. Polka dots.
Polka dots.
Polka
yeah,
dots.
People wear polka dots.
Yeah.
Do you hang the grapes? We hang the grapes.
We don't, but my aunt does.
We do, and it get really moldy. And
Yeah,
then
it turns into raisins.
It turns gross.
Yeah.
Mike doesn't understand why I do it.
I
yet.
don't understand it. No,
parents
we
don't do
eat the
that
damn
either.
grapes.
No, some people put
You
like
hang it out?
grapes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they put it on top of like doorways and
Yeah.
stuff like
Oh,
I
they
do
pass
that.
over. Nice.
I don't know why.
It's not lamb's blood. Protect us.
Yeah. So I do that. I clean. I do a cleaning. Mike makes me clean.
that. Do you ever put like money in your pocket, all the coins right before
And then you
the
jump?
countdown? Yeah.
I don't have money.
No, you never heard that?
Oh, yeah, I do. Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or jump, right?
I jump
If you want to go
to
If you
grow.
want to grow taller.
Yeah,
It
my
doesn't
brother's been
work.
jumping every year. I'm like, Paulo, it's
It's
okay.
done.
I did it a lot when I was a kid.
Yeah. Joe's
Clearly.
tall. Yeah, Joe's tall.
My Chilean cousins, I learned a new New Year's thing with them. Yes, I have Chilean cousins.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, cousin-in-laws
From Chile.
From Chile.
Chile.
Chile. Chile.
Chile,
Would you like to chillax?
They like to chillax, and it's to eat.
Chile?
No, it's to eat beans,
Chile. Yeah, see? Chile.
lentils. It's to eat lentils.
see.
So they'll have and like they'll have like a giant like bowl of lentils, and they'll go around and just shove spoons in your mouth. And I'm like, no, thank you.
Bowls upon bowls of lentils.
I was like, I don't like lentils in general, so I'm like, no, thank you.
That's a thing, like Hoppin' Johns or whatever? Have you heard that?
Mm-mm.
Or like eat like black eyed peas?
It's probably
Yes,
something similar.
yeah.
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 I'm not down. I don't like beans.
Have you heard of like there's a soup that people eat during New Year's or after New Year's? It's like either like a macaroni soup.
It's drunk soup.
right?
Yeah, my parents make it. I don't know what it's called, though.
Yeah,
My
I
parents
don't know what
make
it's
it.
called either.
I call it
Sopas?
drunk soup. Oh,
It's like so,
sopas,
yeah, and it's like they put like sausage,
Yeah.
and use like
it's like leftovers
yeah,
and like elbow
Oh.
pasta.
yeah,
It has like
exactly.
leftover meat
or the
leftover
shell
veggies.
pasta.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
But that's
your
like a big
parents-
thing on New Year's too.
Oh, like
Yeah.
don't go let get anything go to waste kind of thing, or
I don't
Something
know.
like
I mean, I don't
or
think
maybe
it's
it's
like,
just cold.
It's cold.
Low on soup.
Exactly.
A lot of round things.
Do you try not to spend money on the first of the day or first of the year?
No, not really.
Do you do that thing?
We usually have sometimes we have a party during New Year's Day,
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
like a family party.
We do it in the countdown.
During we used to do that, but like now that
Now you're old.
dangerous.
no, now
Like-
there's a lot of kids in our family.
yeah.
Yeah.
They just do it during New Year's Day.
My dad would never let us go out because he thinks
Fireworks.
Fireworks?
Or
or you get
guns.
shot?
no, there's
Gunshots.
fireworks and then guns. I'm like, what? Goes, no, just have it here and count down with us. So it's always been that.
Aw.
He thinks we're gonna,
Shoot
I
your
rem-
guns.
yeah.
There was in college. There was one New Year's where, like, we were partying and we weren't really watching TV, but we were just like hanging out and imbibing on delicious things, and we missed the countdown entirely.
Wow.
You can rewind it.
Stupid. Like, we saw the.
Sorry.
You're so dumb. So we turned the TV on and it was like the celebration was happening. And we were like, oh shit, we missed New Year's. Like, we missed the countdown.
Wow.
So then we were like, well, let's just do it ourselves. So we did 10, like we did the countdown like 20 times to make up for the fact that we were all a little too tipsy to pay attention. And then there was one New Year's, which I like to call the hippie New Year's, where we were at a house that didn't have TV.
Oh, that
And-
party.
And we were
So you
like,
had to gauge when the.
we had to like check
You
our
just, like,
How do
phone.
we know?
A sundial?
We were like, and I call it the hippie party because we were like,
No one got that. No one got that
I
joke.
got that sundial.
Hey, Joe.
The party had a fire going. We were literally just like outside watching the fire, like someone's playing a
Oh my
guitar.
god, that's like the caveman.
and I was like, how do we know when it's the next year? Like, it was so sad.
It's funny because like everyone kept coming to that party because no one else was throwing a party, so it became
Yeah.
the party.
Yeah.
But then everyone's like, "So is the TV? Like, is there alcohol?" at this
There's no
party?" Like,
TV.
Have you ever gone to a club during New Year's?
That sounds like my nightmare.
we've done it.
Nope.
But we have done it.
We have done it.
I've only done it once. It was with remember Joints Magazine?
Yes.
Yeah. So they threw a party, and that's the only time I've ever gone out. Because I remember in my 20s, like my non-Filipino friends, they were trying to get me out, and I go, "Oh, not really. I'm gonna be with my family
Yeah.
tonight." Right?
Yeah.
And they were kind of like, "Why are you gonna be with your family during New Year's? This is like the time you should go out."
Because
Yeah.
of the guns.
I think in college is when I started to not go home for New Year's because I would like work retail and then like afterwards I'd still have to come back to Orange County to work in the mall, and so I was like, I'm not going to New Year's because I have to work the next day.
Yeah.
And so I'd always be with my friends, and it would be like, this is so weird. I'm not with my family. I don't know how to do this. And it was like, oh, it's the same. It's fine. I do remember we went to a club because I won tickets to a show. And so it was to Chromeo
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it's Chromeo.
at Club Nokia. And that was fun. It was weird because I was like, this is so weird.
Yeah.
Last year we went to a Morrissey concert and it ended at 11:30.
What? And you had to do
And
a countdown like on the car?
So it ended up maybe at 11:15. So we took the train back to the car and then we got home and we were home right before the countdown.
Mm-hmm.
So we just spent the New Year's at home, like in our
Yeah.
pajamas. I was like, it's perfect. I watched my favorite singer, Morrissey, tell me meat is murder. And now I'm going to drink champagne
and has some
meat.
sausages.
and eat meat.
Yeah, so after New Year's, people usually have resolutions.
Yeah.
Do you have any this year?
I want to be rich. That's not really a resolution.
I
is it?
want to be
That's not
rich.
really. I don't know.
No.
I really want to think about it because it's already New Year, so I've already thought about this.
Get it? Ryan, the
But
people
you go
know.
first, Elaine.
The people
they do.
know that we recorded this before.
I feel
We recorded this January 2016.
Before the podcast existed.
I miss a lot of them. That's why. There was one year I wanted to make something like a table that never happened. Like build stuff. Like
Be
physically.
handy.
Yeah,
Wait,
be
what?
handy. Yeah, I wanted to build something.
You mean like on New Year's Day or like?
No. As for the year. I
Oh,
want to build
okay.
something. My
It's
resolution.
like January 1st, making a table.
But I don't know. We'll see.
I don't make resolutions anymore. Like I stopped doing it because I know it's a recipe for failure and disappointment. So I do a tradition. I've been doing it for maybe like 3 years, where I make a mind map of the year, and it's just basically like doodling on January 1st, and then I pick a goal for the year, and then I put it. Oh, by the way, you need to get chart paper because we don't have any at home, and I need chart paper for it.
Okay.
Side note, and where I chart it out, like I'll put it on poster paper, and it's kind of like vision boarding, but it's not. It's mind map, where I put 2017, or I'll put the year, and in the center, and then put all of my goals for that year on the paper, and it's in a prominent place so I can see it.
Wow, that's pretty
cool.
good. I wish I did that.
Yeah, you could do it. All you need is chart paper and markers.
Mike's gonna get the chart paper in
Yeah, Mike.
January.
Yeah,
Yeah.
apparently.
Yeah,
In January.
go get it, Mike.
Because it's January right now.
Right.
Do you ever have that life planner? Did you see that?
Oh, like passion planner.
Passion planner.
I used that last year.
Did it work?
It got me to some goals, but to be honest, like in November, I just gave up. I was like, there's too many things. I'm tired of reflecting. Also, 2016 was a dumpster fire of a year,
That's
like
true.
news-wise. So I just was tired of chronicling how terrible it was.
I want to spend less time on like Facebook. That's for real.
yeah.
I want to
Me
spend
too.
less time on like that kind of.
Yeah,
I think I relied on that too much for
social interaction.
Yeah, like for
And news.
connectivity and news, and it was
Yeah.
just not healthy.
I don't want to watch the news. Period.
Yeah. Well, yeah, or select be aware of like what
Yeah.
kind of news you're watching. Cause
I actually haven't watched like news programs since the election.
Oh.
Yeah, I've avoided.
It's hard. It's kind of a little bit of rough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's not true. In the morning, I'll watch like Channel 5, like local news. I won't watch like national news anymore because that makes me upset.
Local news is depressing too, dude.
I just
It's super depressing. That's where you find all the murders that's happening.
That's why I
kidnappings.
spend my New Year's at home because of the guns.
The guns.
guns. They don't. You know what? They don't show anymore. They used to show it for July 4th, but I don't think they show it for New Year's. It's the commercials where it says "Don't shoot your gun in the air."
I don't. Yeah, they don't.
They
do
don't
it
show
anymore.
those anymore.
I haven't
Do you
seen
remember
those.
those commercials?
No.
Oh,
I remember those.
I remember
Because I am
those.
from a safer community than this one.
You're terrible.
Oxnard.
Well, at least it was for.
I like your
Oxnard. I was like, what? I remember
I'm from the good part of Oxnard.
College Estates.
No, the good part.
Sorry, people from College States. Hi.
Did you guys ever
North
Okay.
of the tracks? So
Ooh. North of the tracks, home along the Riles.
Is your nose bleeding, Mike?
Did you guys ever watch the Rose Parade? Like
I
right,
love that.
like live?
I love it. Yeah.
No, I've never watched it live.
Never watched it live.
Like
in
live when
person?
it starts or
Yeah.
live in person?
No, in person. Like
Oh, I've never done it in person.
okay,
Yeah.
Mike.
no, but some friends were offering to let me come along to help them build out a float. Actually,
Oh,
What?
so I was
neat.
thinking about like, oh, do I want to do that for once? 'Cause
Yeah,
I've never
let's
actually
do
seen
it.
the parade, but I'd like to check out the floats and help build one out.
I
So.
want to do that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I've never watched it in its entirety. I would glance at the TV and stuff, but
It's always on when.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you guys remember the Philippine entry to the Rose Parade?
I feel like you sent me a clip of that.
It was
Before.
back in 1997.
Mhm.
I remember.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, and it was like a big community thing. Like a lot of folks came out and helped decorate the floats and stuff like that. And apparently, there's all this. It's the one and only time that they did that because apparently there's been no accounting of where the money went to for all the
Oh
sponsorship.
no! Oh my god!
Who's the project leader? Like Marcos or something? I mean,
Well, you know,
97.
we have a lot of little Marcoses in the Philippines.
Wow.
Oh my gosh! Really?
That is
Yeah.
such a
Sad.
surprising thing to hear.
Wait, what?
Oh.
They
I don't
stole
know.
it's like, did
money?
Mr. Burns make the float? I mean,
Oh man.
I interned at Cal Poly Pomona in grad school,
Mhm.
and Cal Poly Pomona and Cal Poly SLO they have a team that organizes the float building every year. So I was always like, it's been in my like mind to like help out with the floats, like decorating. My uncle used to have a house in Pasadena, and they now rent it to like high end like executives. But before they would do that, they would have a party on New Year's Day. And so they could go. I never went to it though. I was like, it's cool. I'm just gonna hang out with my friends. But I missed that. And like my dad has a friend who lives in Pasadena, and we would go there to it was like close proximity to see the floats, because after the parade you can go and like look at them at their parks.
Yeah.
That's really neat.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I think why I don't actually, it hasn't actually happened where I go help volunteer to decorate it, is because I'm like really allergic to pollen. And it's the Rose Parade. It's all flowers. I would like not be able to breathe.
Don't they like spray it with something?
I don't
I
know.
don't know. Oh, okay.
I just don't
I could have
wanna-
sworn I did.
Like wake up too early.
Yeah, it's also very early in the morning.
People camp out.
Yeah.
People
Yeah.
camp out.
I don't know.
So New Year's.
New
It's
Year's,
also time for
new you,
new you,
Oh.
new you,
resolutions,
resolutions, new life,
new identities.
new identity, new way to describe being Filipino American.
Yeah. It's a good segue.
What you mean?
So
Yeah.
this is actually something I wanted to talk about. I was hesitant to talk about this in the beginning because I thought it was kind of a overplayed debate in a lot of Filipino American circles. But there's this new identity. There's this new nomenclature that people use to describe Filipino.
Awesome.
Yeah. So, back
Maybe.
then there was a debate whether you should say Filipino with an F or Filipino with a P,
Uh-huh.
and that was kind of a debate amongst activists back in the day.
Activistas.
But now there's actually this new way.
Well, before even the new way,
Yeah.
there was a way of spelling it Filipino, the ending with an at symbol.
Oh, okay.
Like not Filipino or Filipina. It was Filipina at symbol to be inclusive of all genders.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I get where that's coming from.
Filipinat.
Filipinat.
And it is also like Pinoy, Pinay with an at sign, right?
Yes.
I used to always call it Pinati.
Pinati. That'd be a good
Nice.
wrestler name.
Yeah.
Pinati.
But yeah, so I'm talking about this new way of saying Filipino. It's Pilipino, or sorry, Pilipinx.
Philippines?
Filipinx.
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 Oh, sorry.
Filipinx. So, kind of the etymology of that is, taking Filipino, switching the F with the P, because to a lot of folks, they believe because there's no P in Tagalog or
There's
any
no
Philippine.
F in
There's no F in Tagalog or any kind of Philippine language. You use a P, and then instead of an O or an A to delineate male and female, use X, because there's they also don't want to pigeonhole folks to
gender
binary,
normative.
yeah, or binary gender identities.
Yeah. And it's I feel like it's been adopted because I've seen it in Latino circles where there's people who identified as Latinx
Mm-hmm.
instead of Latino or Hispanic. That's Latinx.
Yeah.
So it's in that vein.
Yeah. And let's just also remember the history of Filipino, We were all back then pre-Hispanic. We were all Tagalog, Kapampangan, whatever.
We were Indios.
Yeah, and then during Spanish colonization, we were Indios. During initial during initial Spanish colonization, like Visayans were known as Pintados.
Pintados?
Yeah,
Why?
because they were tattooed heavily,
Mm.
and so they call them
paint.
Pinta. Yeah.
Oh, I learned that right now.
Yeah, and then Filipino was actually designated for Spaniards who were born in the Philippines, not necessarily natives of the Philippines, but
Philippines, yeah.
Spaniards who were born in
Yeah.
the Philippines. And then during Philippine nationalism, late 19th century, a lot of Philippine nationalists started adopting Filipino as their identity. So like Jose Rizal, Andres Bonifacio, etc., like Juan Luna, all those folks who went to Spain, and the Ilustrados.
So were those folks Filipino in the traditional sense, or were they?
They wanted to claim
it,
Filipino.
okay.
Yeah, part of it's also trying to be equal to Spaniards.
the Spanish.
Yeah. And then Filipino American history, like Pinoy came out of the Manong generation, and then during the 60s and 70s, that's when like Filipino became more of a rallying cry for Filipinos.
So in the 80s, did people say flip all the time?
Yeah, people don't use that no more.
People don't use that anymore.
Well,
my cousin does.
Wait, was it
Is she
ever a
old?
derogatory thing?
He's old. Yeah.
Sorry.
Was flip ever a derogatory thing?
Supposedly it was.
Yeah. I never thought of it as that until somebody told me,
yeah.
isn't that derogatory? I'm like,
I don't know.
Yeah. A lot of people in the 80s used to always use flip.
My cousin always said that when he dated his now wife, he was like, "I'm going out with my first flip girl," and I was like, "Filipino girl?
a gymnast?
I was like, "What's a flip girl? What's happening?"
Yeah, in the 80s, you're either flip or Hawaiian. I kid.
In our high school, where all the Filipinos would hang out was called the flip strip.
Flip strip.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Interesting.
I was like, oh, okay. Where all the Filipinos were. There's the bro row where all the brothers were at. All guys school, by the way. The flip strip where all the Filipinos were at. And then the rest were white, so they were divided amongst areas in Los Angeles in which they lived. Hey, Loyola guys. So,
Yeah. And then
The
the
Latinos
advent,
song as
yeah,
well.
and then the advent of internet brought us the, Philippine at
Philippine
or-
ad, yeah.
Pinati.
Pinati. And now it's Philippine X.
Yeah, now it's Philippine X.
And
not Philippine XXX.
not Philippine XXX. That would not be the same thing.
That's different. I
That
looked.
is
I looked.
XXX
That's the
rated.
flip strip right there.
I looked. It's different.
So, yeah, what are your opinions on that?
Yeah, Brian, what's your opinion about that? Mike, what's your opinion about that?
I get wanting to do something about like identity. I just don't know how long it's gonna last. I just don't know, like, I guess it's good to be conscious of things and conscious of like history and conscious of what it means to be something. And if there's a certain confusion, then we should correct it. But in my opinion, I don't know if people are conscious enough of being offended or conscious enough of like, the history of it for it to matter. Do you know what I mean by that? Yeah. Like, is it a like, for example, like all the stuff that you said right now, Joe, like the history of that's great because not a lot of people know that. I didn't know some of the things that you mentioned.
Same.
So it's good to understand where it came from. Now, evolving to what we have now of Philippine X, right? How to call attention to that, and then do we have the energy to couple it with, okay, let's educate people with why we think this is a thing.
But I think people who do use that, like,
Are conscious.
they're more or less they're activists
Okay.
who do that, and
Yeah.
they are their mission is to educate folks.
Okay.
I feel like it's also like it's either activist or academic circles.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
places where you're having conversations about identity. Like where you places where in conversations where you say like list your name and your gender pronouns.
Yeah.
Like that's where you would put all of those things. And like I work in higher ed, so I'm very open to like if you want to call yourself whatever you call yourself, I'll go with it.
Yeah.
I jive with that. I get it. But personally, I agree with Ryan with the I don't know how long it'll last.
Yeah.
Like is this going to be a temporary generational thing?
Right.
Like what will be the new Philippine X? And I was like, I feel uncomfortable with the identifier because I feel like it takes away from like another experience, because the idea of using X as a signifier is it's supposed to be, I mean, I'm assuming it. I could be wrong. If you want to tell me, go ahead and tweet at TVL Podcast. But like the whole concept of using X as a last name or X as a modifier was typical in the Black community.
Yeah.
Like to take ownership of their experience because they were, the descendants of slaves. And so I'm going to have my own name. I'm not going to have that. So I'll use X. So I want to, respect that community's experience with that.
Yeah.
And so like when I hear it being put on Philippine X, like personally, I don't use the term because I don't feel it's my experience. Am I Philippine X? Someone might tell me I am, but to me, I'm going to say like I'm Filipino American.
And for me, I guess the other thing I wanted to emphasize is, I guess if I'm ever going to get there, all of a sudden be writing or calling myself Philippine X or whatever, I'll get there. I don't know if I ever will, but I also don't want to, in the form of what Elaine was saying about respect, I don't want to just do it just because it's a fad, like or I don't want to fake it, like, oh, this is the thing now. I don't want that to be the answer that I give. So perhaps I just need to learn more about what it means and why it's what the direction of that conversation is going to be. And I think I'm pretty conscious and cognizant of things that may offend people or things that I know are perhaps in the times that we have, even expressions that I've changed in my own vernacular. I used to say bro a lot, and I used to say bro a lot to guys and girls. I try not to do it anymore.
Yeah.
I used to say dude a lot to guys and girls. I try not to do that anymore. Just because some
Dude.
people
I still say dude.
yeah, but
I don't say you guys anymore if it's
I try not to do you guys, but you kind of slip. So I get that there is a certain kind of, be aware of what you're saying and be aware of that. But until I figure out, maybe for my own education, I haven't gotten there yet. I guess that's what I wanted to say. So I don't know if this is something that I will adopt in how I write, for example, or how I speak.
Yeah.
What about you, or Mike or Joe? What do you guys?
Well, I don't even know when it started being used. It just showed up all of a sudden, and I got it right away what it was or what it was meant to signify, but it just seemed to kind of come out of nowhere. And maybe you guys have a better sense of like where that came out of.
I don't either.
I don't either.
But I mean, like, I think like, definitely identity is one of those things that, it's very self-defined. And so I would hesitate to imply that signifier on somebody without them feeling like it's something that they own, right? Because I mean, one thing that I learned really quickly when I was in college was that, so the term like Chicana, right, is something that people would take on, but you wouldn't automatically apply to like every single person who's like Latino, Hispanic, whatever.
Yeah.
That it's a political identity, right?
Yeah.
Like to be Chicano is to be something very specific, not just I'm from, Mexico, Central America, etc. And so, you don't just call people like, oh, they're Chicanos. Like, no, that's something, if they identify themselves as that thing, then that's who they're identified, but you can't just blanket apply an identity upon everybody. And so even with like Pinoy, Pinay, and all the other stuff, I mean, I don't even think I felt comfortable using that when that was big.
The at sign?
Or flip or any of those other things. And so I think just, I mean, it's one of those things that you come to some conclusion on for yourself on some form or another, but otherwise, whether or not I'm going to use it in a public space when speaking to other Filipinos, I still don't know if there's enough cognizance of it, understanding of it, and ownership of it for me to feel like it's something I can kind of use in a broader sense. So,
yeah, when I was in college, I used to always use Filipino, right?
With a P.
With a P. Yeah, I was write Filipino, like in essays and stuff like that.
And then like you get that red squiggle because it says it's not right.
Yeah. And I would say, oh man, the Word document's so oppressive. Like Microsoft Word is so oppressive.
Just create the shortcut. It's not going to be oppressive.
Yeah. And then, and I used that for the longest time. And then once I started working in government, like it didn't catch on. Like I eventually just kind of migrated to Filipino because the folks that I was serving,
they didn't identify with the P.
They identified the P. And in general, it just sounds weird.
Filipino.
I know it sounds weird, but I remember one time I was in a class and the teacher was from UCLA. He wasn't Filipino, but he was active on campus, so he used the P because that's what Filipinos at UCLA use, right? But then when he started saying it like in class, it just sounded so like sakit sa tenga,
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
He would say, the Filipino American community, you know, like he didn't say Filipino, he said
Yeah.
Filipino.
Yeah.
And it just sounds weird.
It
right?
sounds off.
Yeah, and then he would also say like, back in when Filipinos came back from the Philippines, it just sounded like, what the hell is this, dude?
And they pinakbet.
Filipinos come from the Philippines.
Well, he didn't have an accent.
Oh,
right?
so when Filipinos come from the Philippines,
Yeah.
eating puto,
Well, he would say like Philippines.
Philippines.
So it sounded just like,
But there's no
dude, this is weird.
Philippines.
I know.
It's Philippines.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've seen some people spell, some of my non-Filipino friends, whenever they write it, they would
PH.
with PH.
Yeah.
It's so annoying.
And 2 L's.
Yeah, exactly. And
Filipino.
like 2 L's and like 5 P's.
Like
I've seen that.
Philippians, the book in the Bible.
Philippines. Yeah.
Well, Filipino also is the language, right? The language, or if you took a language course in the Philippines,
There's with a P, right?
it's Filipino, like Filipino 1, Filipino 2, right?
Oh, I didn't know that.
So yeah, I think the Tagalog thing was more of a issue in the States when people were
Yeah.
talking about the language. But Filipino is like if you take English 1 or English Lit, it's Filipino Lit, right?
Got it.
But I heard so I was talking to somebody, and they told me that the government actually changed the language of
you might be right.
the national language from Filipino to Filipino with an F.
Really?
I did not know
Yeah.
that. Okay,
Yeah.
good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So now it's 2 national languages, right? English and I guess
Filipino?
Filipino now.
And Filipino.
Filipino.
Philippines? No,
Pil-
it's not a language. It's person.
Filipino with a PH.
I mean, I also understand the activism behind it, the
Mhm.
need to reclaim or to kind of be anti-colonial in
Yeah.
this identity. But for me, the argument is already flawed because
Because we live here.
not just that. I mean, just like the argument with P, it's like, okay, there's no P in any, there's no F in Tagalog, but Philip was King Felipe
Right.
was not indigenous to the
Right.
Philippines,
Exactly.
And-
right? And yeah, it just that logic never kind of got me.
And to me, there's so much more. I think, especially with I've never, by the way, I've never argued whether P or F or anything like that.
Mhm.
There's so much more to the conversation than that, right? There's
Yeah,
a
totally.
history.
Yes.
You know what I mean? There's a history behind it, and so let it be the history behind it, and let people kind of like simmer on that for a little bit.
Yeah.
Right. As opposed to like. To me, it's become a spelling thing, and all of a sudden, if you subscribe to one or the other, you're one or the other. I think that's kind of silly, and not the arguments behind it, right?
Yeah.
But
It takes away from
but it
it.
takes away from it, right? So it takes away from the actually historically, this is what we want people to know, and so that's where I'm getting at here. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
anyway.
No, that's good. Another thing is, I wonder how to spell Philippine X in Baybayin script.
There's
Oh,
no
the-
X.
I know you can't do it.
in Babayan, is there?
No,
No.
there's not.
So it'd be,
PILI.
and then it would just be an X.
It would be an X.
Like a Roman numeral X.
Philippine 10.
That sounds like a really cool shoe coming out.
Philippine 10.
People are gonna line up. Sneakerheads are gonna line up. There's gonna be tons of Filipinos, Philippine X's hanging out, lining up for the shoes.
My hope is that it if it does end up starting this conversation of identity and that the conversation continues, in spite of whether or not this catches on.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So if it's fetch will never catch on, kind of thing. But
That's good.
they'll make.
But
it.
also, you know,
I
like
got
this is
you,
my
yeah.
rant. This is my rant, and I might get in trouble for this. But like,
You're not gonna get in trouble.
if you're gonna use, you know, any kind of anti-colonial signifiers and nomenclatures, you should start learning the Philippine language.
Yep.
You know, you should learn Tagalog. You should learn Ilocano. That I think says more to being anti-colonial than your nomenclature, your identifier.
Agree.
Agreed.
What a New Year message.
Happy
So,
New Year!
Happy New Year. Learn your language. Identify however you want to.
And then
but
just email Joe
Identify
and
the
get
way.
mad at Joe on the email.
No, I actually, you know, I am full supportive of Filipinex. It's just the utility of it. It's hard, especially in this world.
I feel very old. I mean, I feel very old. I feel very like, get off my lawn, you young kids, with your Philippine X. Because back in the day, we said flip and called it a day. You know, like I feel very old in that it's not. Well, these things are generational,
Yeah.
right? The identifiers are generational.
Yeah. It just depends when you go to college.
It
and
depends when you
learn
go to
all
college.
this stuff.
Like, because we've worked with several community members, and like, there's one person in particular who always said flip to me. She's like, "Oh yeah, we should totally do a flip program." Da, 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 da. And I would look at her like, "Flip program? And I'm like, "Oh, but she's older than me,
Yeah.
so it's her identifier.
Yeah.
So she's gonna use that." And these kids, oh, I'm so old. These kids these days, these kids with their fandangled hoverboards and whatnot. I don't know. I'm just kidding. Y'all are gonna use Filipinex, and that's fine. That'll be your thing. But for me, it's my 30s. I am just gonna say Filipino.
When you said flip program, I thought you meant flipogram.
Flipogram, like the old app Flipogram.
In high school, I used to think like flip was very derogatory, and I would get pissed off at
Right?
white people who would call me flip.
And then what? And then you're like, oh, Ryan uses it. That's true. And he had no idea why it's derogatory because I didn't know. Did you know why it was derogatory?
Well, supposedly, like,
Funky little island people.
yeah, fucking little island people,
Yeah.
or like,
Oh, that is what it stands for.
or like, yeah, or
Filipino.
yeah, or like that's what people used to call like manongs to.
Oh, like how they used to call Japanese people Japs.
Yeah,
They use
flips.
flips for Filipinos. I can see that.
I haven't seen any historic evidence on that, like written documentation on that, but
There's like probably some
this-
anecdotal.
yeah,
thing,
this is just all like stories passed on.
I could see that.
Yeah.
And then in the 80s, the children were saying flips.
Yeah.
Flip, 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 flip.
Or they're dancing hula.
Well, they're dancing hula.
Because they're Hawaiian.
They're Hawaiian. In the 80s, they're Hawaiian. But then in the 90s, it was a gang, so it's cool.
Yeah, that's true. We had long bangs.
They had long bangs, and they claimed
We were
flip,
AZN.
flip side.
Yeah.
That was the gang. I mean, that's what it was called.
Yeah.
It was a gang. I mean, if you're listening and you're from Flipside, hi. Hello.
Wait, so just taking back a little bit too, when did Pinoy and Pinay become? Because I know it's a kind of an older term too,
I
right?
think that's like an
Yeah.
80s,
Be-
90s.
Because I mean,
they came out in the 20s and 30s.
In the 20s and 30s? Oh, wow.
yeah, that's what That's what Filipinos in America used to call themselves and to differentiate themselves from Filipinos in the Philippines. So they call themselves Pinoy.
mm,
Supposedly, I think I read somewhere where the first written documentation of that was like in 1926 or something.
So that's like pensionados when they were here studying. They would.
No, that's the Manongs.
Oh, it's the Manongs.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like Carlos Bulosan.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
Wow. So yeah, and in
Made
the
popular
90s,
by Pinoy Pinay chat room.
I know, when I hear Pinoy Pinay, I just think chat room. Not gonna lie.
I think the restaurant
There's a
Oh.
restaurant?
yeah, there's a
in the
restaurant.
valley.
and Cerritos.
Was it made because of the chat room? I bet you it was, not because of the 20s.
Pinoy Pinay, and then you put ASL.
If you ever talked to T Starks
ASL.
BX 805, that was me.
Are you? Wow.
Wait,
Wow.
what?
I'm like, did you have?
Did
Sound, door closed.
Or DJ Quack Quack.
Did Mike try to hit on you, Ryan, or something?
I don't know. Is that familiar? Are you getting
No.
memories
No, we just had beef over like
Yeah.
racing.
over racing?
Yeah, I'll meet you at Manila. You guys didn't have that one?
What's
No.
Manila?
That's another chat room.
Oh, I never heard of that one.
Manila, Pinay.
I didn't have AOL back in the day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't either.
It's dangerous.
My parents
Oh,
didn't want to
man.
pay for it.
Yeah, we didn't have until Earthlink. Oh, I wouldn't have internet till Earthlink.
Oh, okay.
Oh, we
And then-
had Netscape.
I mean, you didn't have Juno, the free internet.
Juno.
What you don't know?
Anyways,
It
we should do a whole episode on Filipinos on the internet at some point.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Like,
Juno
let's do that.
wasn't free. I had Net Zero. Net Zero was free.
Yeah,
Ah.
net zero.
I had that.
We used to make fun of my college roommate because he had net zero. We used to call it Kareep Zero.
Did he also have like what was that computer that was free from Best Buy? It was like EPC or something, or I forgot what it was called.
No,
There was
I
a
don't
free
know.
computer.
Like as long as you watch the ads on the computer, your computer was like free or something.
Oh, I've never
What?
heard that before.
Oh my god, I'll remember
You
later.
ever find it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyways,
Okay.
So yeah,
So yeah.
Happy New Year, all.
Happy New Year.
Happy
Happy
New
New
Year.
Year.
To all those Filipinexes out there, Happy New Year.
May the
Enjoy.
force be with you.
And 2017. Don't be so sucky.
Yeah. So don't forget to follow us on, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter.
Instagram.
Instagram.
AZN143637. Send us your 90s pics. We'll post them
Yes.
Find me on the AIM chat.
on the AM.
Pinay chat room.
Pinay chat
the
room.
AOL chat room, but
Manila.
you can find me on AIM. You know,
So old. It's all about Asian Avenue. Come on.
All right. At TVL Podcast on Twitter. This Philippine American Life on Facebook. And email us, thisphilippinenamericanlife@gmail.com if you want to sponsor us. Because we'll take your money.
Thanks all.
All right. Out.